And a very good Sunday morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. I say good Sunday morning, kind of tongue in cheek, because it's really cloudy out there this morning. Had some overnight showers, but I see that we're not the only one who are having it kind of dull. I see here Dennis just checked in from Onestad, and he's saying it's dull and chilly here in Onestad. Well, Dennis, Carriacou beckons. Folks, nice of you to join us on this Sunday morning. Today happens to be the 16th day of December 2018. Good program lined up for you this morning. We're going to be here until about 12 o'clock. Let's hope that things hold up on the internet this morning. So far, so good. And in the event that they don't, just remember, you may listen to us on GrenadaBroadcast.com. In addition to looking at us there on GrenadaBroadcast.com, you can also forget about the video feed and pay attention to the audio feed. That's in the Listen Live section, top right of the homepage there. You can also listen and watch on Facebook. Later on this afternoon, you'll be able to watch both on Facebook and on YouTube. And as far as this morning is concerned, you can listen on Radio Genre, on Radio Garden, and on TuneIn. Okay, there you'll just be hearing the audio, but half a loaf, better than nothing. Pilgrims, let's get down to brass tacks. We will begin, as always, with this week's edition of The Buzz, which includes reading from the Holy Scriptures. And yeah, we do have some feedback in there for you, I think. As far as the editorials are concerned, missing in action today is the Grenadian Voice. Not sure what happened there, but we do have the Grenada Advocate, which is captioned, Dealing with Brain Drain. Boing. And the New Today is captioned, Trickery and Tomfoolery. Gotta wait, find out what those two are about. As far as interviews are concerned, as you know, we still have this impasse between the unions and the government that continues unabated. Well, the union made a proposal to the government, which was rejected, and we're going to hear what's been happening since. This morning, I do have the president of the Public Workers Union, Rachael Roberts. We've been seeing quite a bit of her lately, but always a pleasure to welcome her. It would be so nice if we could get the other sides to talk with us as well, but so be it. Rachael is coming in this morning, and the segment we're going to do is captioned, The SAGA Continues as Unions and Government Stand Firm. Well, we're going to find out what that means in just a wee bit. Okay, she is due in here at about 10 o'clock. As always, she goes to church on a Sunday morning, and when I spoke to her yesterday, she mentioned to me that she missed her church service last week, and she didn't want to miss it again today. So she's not going to miss it. She's going today, but she's going to try and leave a little bit early. So if you see this little mouse sneaking out the door, it's Rachael headed for Sundays with George Grant. Okay? Our main feature today has to do with another topic that's pretty current right now. Is corruption really being fought? You know, we hear all the about the fight against corruption. Well, this past week, Anti-Corruption Day was commemorated around the world. And this morning, I do have, it's been some time since this lady's been with us, Lady Anande Trotman-Joseph. She is the chairman of the Integrity Commission here in Grenada. And she has kindly consented to be with us at about 11 o'clock this morning. So I'm really looking forward to having her back here since we have not really chatted for quite a little while now. Just let me turn over here to Facebook and see who's already there this morning. I know that you guys are an hour behind, so yeah, you're excused if you're a little bit late in getting here, but better late than never. Still got about 3 hours to go. On Facebook, Yali Sill saying, good morning, George and friends. Anthea Rillo, hello there, Anthea. Saying, good morning, Christmas greetings as I dream of a sunshine Christmas. Well, what's stopping you, girl? No need to dream. There are all kinds of airplanes flying in here nowadays. American Airlines, Caribbean Airlines, Delta, I think it is. Yeah, everybody's flying down here nowadays. Hop on one of them. Come on down, man. Not too late. And Ryan Jaban is saying, good Sunday morning to you, George, and guest. Fog, rain, overcast, and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Yo. Looks like it's kind of gloomy everywhere. I shouldn't say gloomy here in Grenada because we do have the odd sunshine coming in, but still it's not the sort of morning we've had during the week. Now, Coylan Nash is also saying, good morning, Mr. George. I'm listening. Blessed day to all. Kipling Francis is saying, I'm here to share as always. And Ryan says he's been up since 5 o'clock this morning. Good for you, man. I was getting a couple of Z's at that time. Rest assured. And let's see here. Jackie. Hello, Jackie. Jackie is saying, good morning, George. Good to see you. And that's it for the time being. So, now you know what sort of mischief we're going to be getting into over the next 3 hours. Let me thank you again for joining us. And we're going to take our first little break. Oh, excuse me. Forgot. Rumble chat. Or to you older heads, the shout box. Isaac says, good day, George and class, and a pleasant week to all. Season's greetings to all. Let us care and share, not only this period, but all through the year. Amen, Isaac. No argument there for me. Kipling says, good morning, Mr. Grant and Mr. Chester and class. God's blessings to all. What is more dangerous than someone constantly lying is the people who, for whatever unknown reasons, who believe these lies and repeat them as truth. What a shame. So says Kipling. And our good buddy Dennis is out there in Onestad. Well, I already told you that he's got a dull and chilly afternoon. It's they're a few hours ahead of us. I think 5 hours. So yeah, it's afternoon out there in Onestad. Hey, and Jackie is there and here. Back to Facebook for just a wee bit. Ryan says, corruption? Check USA. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And they're the ones who are always trying to keep us in check, right? You know that, don't you? Then Fitzroy Adams says, good morning, George, and the rest of Grenada. Oswin Lewis is saying, good morning, Grenada. Folks, enjoy it. Looks like things are going pretty good so far. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's see here. It's 10 minutes after the hour. Let's take a quick little break here, and we'll come back and get started with the buzz.
Hubbard's, bringing you Frigidaire Christmas cheer. With the purchase of any Frigidaire fridge, freezer, stove, washer, or air conditioning unit, you get a free 3-piece Frigidaire non-stick pot set. Come into our appliance department on the Carronage and Building Supplies Grandance to get your trusted Frigidaire products and enhance your cooking this Christmas. Offer available while stocks last. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenlec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenlec. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlec customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenlec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Why wish upon a star? For bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Welcome home.
Hey, tell me, what's going on? Seems like there's this massive cloud bank over the entire world. I'm saying that because I see here that we've now been joined by Margaret out there in New York, and she's saying good morning from a rainy and cloudy New York. It's dull and gloomy out there in dull and chilly in Wanstead, England. It's kind of dull here in St. George. It's rainy and cloudy in New York. Same old, folks. Also, I see here Ernesto Jose says, good morning, G. It's Education Sunday, and I'm up and ready to be educated. Agatha Jordan is chiming in as well, and she is saying, good morning, George, guests and listeners. Happy Sunday to you all. Agatha, happy Sunday to you, too. Is it dull there in Carriacou? Anyway. By the way, on the shout box, even though not everybody's chimed in, I see here that We Will Rise is also on the shout box this morning. Yeah, there are a few people out there on the box this morning. Anyhow, pilgrims, let us get down to business. We begin on this Sunday morning with the buzz. And we will start with a reading from the Holy Scriptures. And this one comes to you from the book of Isaiah 48. 17, 18, and 19. This is what the Lord says, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord your God, who teaches you what is best for you, who directs you in the way you should go. If only you had paid attention to my commands, your peace would have been like a river, your well-being like the waves of the sea. Your descendants would have been like the sand, your children like its numberless grains. Their name would never be blotted out, nor destroyed from before me. You can go on back, check it out. Isaiah 48, verses 17, 18, and 19. There goes your opening scripture. We'll have another one for you just before we pull the curtain down at about midday today, okay? Now, let's get into the feedback section. Somebody sent this to me this past week. And in light of the fact that we're going to be talking about this industrial impasse that we're having here in Grenada, I thought I would share this with you. It says, a word of advice to the public sector unions on negotiations with government on the pension and gratuity issue. It is clear that the government is not negotiating in good faith. Please, put a halt to the charade that is taking place. The unions must immediately move to the Constitutional Court to get a ruling again on the pension and gratuity issue. All the unions have to do is get one public officer or teacher who is retired post-1985 or is about to retire to take action against government for their pension. This ruling from the Constitutional Court will clear up once and for all the myth by government that to pay the 25% will interfere with the Fiscal Responsibility Act as signed with the IMF. Everyone knows that any act of Parliament, such as the FRA, that is in conflict with the Constitution, will become null and void. The court will give priority and an immediate hearing to any constitutional motion filed on pension and gratuity. The membership must call on Rachael Roberts, Andre Lewis, and Lyden Lewis to end the tomfoolery with government and take the pension and gratuity issue immediately to the Constitutional Court for a quick ruling. You know, I'm probably going to read that again when Rachael gets here this morning and get her interpretation of that, her comments. And just before we wrap up today's edition of The Buzz, for those of you in the cruise ship industry or the tourism industry, I've been advised by the Grenada Tourism Authority that the Prince Dam, which was due here this morning at 8 o'clock, has been canceled. Well, you probably noticed that already. Yeah, the Prince Dam's been canceled. And the next ship that's going to be due in here will be the Jewel of the Seas on Tuesday. She should have a capacity of about 2,501. And by the way, this week, as far as cruise calls and passengers are concerned, just a bit slower, a lot slower than the week just ended. This week, we'll probably have about 7,000 guests coming to our shores compared to the more than 18,000 we had over the past week. Yeah, you heard me right. More than 18,000. And listen, that only accounts for the passengers, right? We're talking the passenger capacity here. Also have to remember that a lot of these ships that come in here have over 1,000 crew on board, okay? And they too, in their own little way, they contribute to the number of arrivals we have here. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week's edition of The Buzz. And back here to chat box for just a minute, Rumble Talk. We Will Rise has chimed in and said, good morning to you, Rumble Chat. Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see you, We Will Rise. Nice to see you. Then we head back now to Facebook. And a little while ago, I asked Agatha Jordan out there in Carriacou what it's like out there. So let me try and stretch these old legs here. And Agatha says, it's a beautiful morning here in Carriacou. Well, Agatha, send some of your sunshine down here. I don't know. Maybe the sun's come out by now because inside here it's all closed up. But when I was out on the balcony a little while ago, pretty cloudy. Sonia McKee John says, good morning and blessed Sunday to all. And she says, George, you're frozen. I'm frozen? Hey, you got to be kidding. You got to be kidding. Let me see here if I'm frozen. I hope I'm not frozen. I'm looking at it on Grenada Broadcast, and there he is with his old green polo shirt. You're going to unfreeze in just a wee bit, Sonia. Ryan Jabon says, fiscal responsibility. Why the inclination to increase parliamentarian salary? I don't know, but well, they have given several reasons why they think they should. The key one is the key one is that some permanent secretaries are making more than the ministers themselves. Now, you decide, is that legitimate? Maybe. Depends on what perspective you look at it from, okay? So I'm not going to make any decisions on that. You have to decide. All right. Now, where are we? We are going to take another little break here. I'm trying to... Oh, hold on a minute. Margaret says you were frozen and then the buffering started. Seems okay now. Okay, Mags. I wouldn't be surprised, actually. I wouldn't be surprised because my yellow light has come on here, Mags, which means that it has begun. Now, it has begun. I like to provide you guys with updates because I know how annoying this whole episode has been for you over the last few months. But let me tell you this. On Friday of this past week, a couple of days ago, on Thursday actually, I had a couple of people, technical people from one of the providers, Digicel, come in here. And they did a whole bunch of tests, you know. Always, it's the customer who's always wrong, right? Well, they came in here and did a couple of tests and found out that there's absolutely nothing wrong inside of the studio. Nada. Nothing. Okay? And they acknowledged and admitted to us that, it seems like there is a problem. But the problem is not in Grenada. It's not in Grenada. They say it's outside of Grenada. And so they have set out to track down the source of that problem. Okay? So it's not here in the studio. It's not with the local network. It's outside of Grenada. Now, me ain't no techie. I'm no technical wizard. So I don't know. All I know is there are other people in this country who stream, just like I do. One exception. They don't have issues. They don't have to go, the people who watch them don't have to go through what you are going through. That's all I know. That's what we all know because you see it on a daily basis, okay? So they're going to try and get to the bottom of this. Yesterday, I was very pleased to have received a phone call from them giving me a bit of an update. They wanted to let me know that they are really working on resolving this issue. And they promised me faithfully that on Tuesday of this coming week, we will have a resolution to this problem. Now, hold on. I have passed on promises to you in the past. But you know something, guys? I am the very accommodating type. And I'm always willing to cooperate and say, hey, things don't always work out the way you hope they would, so let's give them a chance. They made that promise in the presence of witnesses. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 of us here in the room when that promise was made to me. So I say yes. Let's give them a chance. Let's give them a chance. Okay? And I hope that you will join me. I know your frustration, I understand, but join me. Let's reach out. Let's work with them. How about that? It's not going to hurt. Today I see here a yellow thing, yellow light indicating that there is already an issue getting up there to Facebook. And when I look at the GrenadaBroadcast.com website, I am seeing the program, but it's breaking up a lot. Breaking up a lot. Yeah. Let's give them a chance. Reach out. Be conciliatory. Okay? Deal? Deal. Okay. Now, let's get back here. Cheryl Jarvis says, morning, George. Enjoying you as usual. Season's greetings to you and yours. Hello, Cheryl. Very good morning to you. We're honored to have you in our company. Thanks for joining us. And blessings to you too, my friend. And Margaret says, Margaret says, problem outside of Grenada? You know, Margaret is always so frank. Yeah, I don't know what life would be without Mags. She's always so frank. But I understand, Mags. I understand because, you know, if there's one person who has been through all of this with us, with me, it's you. And I want the whole world, everybody out there listening, to know that you have stood by my side and commiserated with me. And for that, I'm really, really appreciative, okay? And in addition to that, what the heck would we do without your warped sense of humor, huh? I understand your cynicism. I understand. Anyhow. Okay, folks. Where are we? Let's fire up this one. Take another little break here. The yellow light is still on, by the way, but on Grenada Broadcast, I see that the stream is there, so let's hope it stays there. Take a little break and we'll come on back.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical, and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners, and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance, and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company. Tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, we'll give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Go Bank and you.
Welcome home.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenada's Give a Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenlec. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlec customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenlec's Give a Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Okie dokie, time now, 27 minutes away from 10 o'clock, which means we're about 33 minutes into today's program. Back here to Facebook. Ryan out there in Orlando says, God bless the technocrats. Agencies outside of Grenada could be on your radar, Gigi. Ryan, in all fairness, I think you meant I'm on their radar. You know, I don't know. I ain't gonna speculate. You folks form whatever opinions you want to form, and it's totally understandable. Then we shift a little to Rumble Chat. And I see that we have now been joined by Tessa. She's saying good morning, George, and good morning, all. And Mango Coot, he's not saying anything or hasn't said anything yet, but Mango Coot is also with us this morning. Oh, yeah. Okay, folks. Now, let me make myself comfortable here and settle down because we got a couple of editorials for you. The first one comes to you from the Grenada Advocate, and the editorial, which appeared in that publication this past week, is captioned, Dealing with Brain Drain. It is noted with interest that the subject of brain drain has again, or better yet, continues to be a topic for discussion. It has been on the radar of regional countries for many years, and the fact that it was spoken about just last month indicates that brain drain is proving costly to this region, where resources are scarce and where action is required to confront it. Brain drain in the Caribbean came up recently at the Adelaide Brown Memorial Lecture in Barbados, which was presented by Dr. Arnold McIntyre, who works at the International Monetary Fund. Importantly, Dr. McIntyre, who is Deputy Division Chief in the Western Hemisphere Department of the IMF, recalled growing up in the region where brain drain was widely discussed. That was several years ago, and it demonstrates that the subject is not new to the Caribbean thought, and just how long it has been highlighted with no apparent policy on how to deal with it. One can admit that a country will not succeed in keeping its best brains at home simply because there are those who would want to move on. However, the high numbers quoted tell the tale that more and more of our people are going to go abroad and stay abroad. It is costly both in terms of lost expertise and in cases where students receive scholarships to pursue studies abroad, but prefer to seek out employment opportunities in the said countries where they have studied. Dr. McIntyre told his audience that the Caribbean is exporting 3/4 of its human capital. Further on, he noted that when one looks at the United States, for example, indications suggest that Caribbean nationals are highly educated and nearly half of the immigrants have at least a college education, a ratio that compares favorably with the American population. Very often, we have heard that Caribbean nationals, having graduated from a study program in the region, whether it be from the University of the West Indies or similar institutions in the region, tend to face struggles and challenges to find appropriate jobs. Oftentimes, they may be too qualified to land private sector jobs, or they encounter hurdles in the public service where, for a variety of reasons, they are left out in the cold. At times as well, there is a mismatch of skills and specific job openings. And more often than not, people leave in frustration and go where the grass appears to be greener. Those trained professionals who land jobs tend to reach the stage where they do not see eye to eye with the political directorate, whose interest is really political survival, whereas that of the trained personnel is to make a contribution to national development. If one takes agriculture as an example, there are enormous studies done by professionals on how to reposition that sector. Governments have failed to act on these papers, while at the same time allowing agriculture to remain in a depressed state. And for decades. The same can be said about other areas in the economy. The time has come, therefore, for serious action, since it is still not too late to do so, assuming that we want to have robust economies that are relevant in these times. That, Pilgrims, is the editorial which appeared this past week in the Grenada Advocate. Okay, something just caught my eye here on Rumble Chat. Penny C out there in Saint-Sevier says, George, you shouldn't have said anything because you keep cutting in and out on your site. Yeah, Penny. Oh, Penny, yes, I understand. Okay. Bernard Gilbert on Facebook is saying good morning to you guys. He's got his eyes wide open, his ears all cocked up. Yep. So that's where we are. Let me take another little break here, and we'll come on back with the editorial from the New Today. By the way, I've already explained to you that today we do not have an editorial from the Grenadian Voice. Okay? So the new today is going to be up in just a wee bit.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Okie dokie, folks. 16 minutes away from 10 o'clock, and at about 10 o'clock, we're expecting to have our visit this morning from Rachael Roberts, president of the Grenada Public Workers Union. And she's coming in here to talk about the ongoing impasse. You know, this thing looks like it's going to drag on for a little while, and well into the holiday season. It's unfortunate, and one can only keep on praying and hope good sense will prevail, and we can begin the new year on a positive note. Keep your pinkies crossed and keep your faith intact, okay? Now, let me see. Somebody's posted, you know, I'm just going to ignore it. Somebody's posted something there on Rumble Chat. You know, folks, we're trying to have a little conversation here, and when you write these humongous dissertations, it makes it kind of hard, especially when it's often so mumble-jumbled, you know. I saw one this morning, I didn't even mention it, but I saw one this morning on Facebook, and I just went right over it. Take me half day to read that. Anyhow, let's get into the editorial, which appears in, or appeared, I should say, in this past week's edition of the New Today. It is captioned, Trickery and Tomfoolery. The impasse between the Keith Mitchell-led government and public sector workers, including teachers, has overshadowed discussions in the country on the status of Grenada's oil and gas, involving the Russian outfit known as Global Petroleum Group. On the eve of the March 13th general election, Prime Minister Mitchell told the nation at a massive rally of the ruling New National Party, NNP, on the Pearls Airstrip in St. Andrew, that there was now the prospects of a lot of money flowing, since the findings of the Russians in our waters were exciting for the future development of the country. Yet, 8 months later, the Prime Minister was dead silent on the issue of oil and gas in presenting the 2019 budget in Parliament. Many government watchers could not believe that not even one sentence came from the lips of Dr. Mitchell during his lengthy presentation of the budget in his capacity as Minister of Finance on the GPG findings and the new so-called revenue stream that can transform the Grenadian economy overnight from oil and gas. The New Today expected Prime Minister Mitchell to loudly beat the oil drum in the budget in the face of fears that there could be a significant drop in revenue from the passport selling scheme known as citizenship by investment, which is under serious threat of being wiped out due to pressure from the European Union, Canada, and the United States, as their worries grow concerning their national security interests from money laundering and terrorism. It was also the specter of money from oil and gas found by the Russians that was waved in front of the leaders of those public sector unions into getting them to sign off on the so-called controversial topic of restoration and reformation of gratuity and pension. There were all smiles on the faces of many trade unionists and leading government officials as a deal was reportedly reached in the middle of the dark night when the rest of the country was asleep, that virtually sealed the March 13th elections for PM Mitchell and his NNP Green Machine over Congress and its leader, Nazem Burke. Today, the powers that be have gone rather lukewarm on oil and gas, while Guyana is keeping its people fully abreast of its own oil and gas find with reputable Western companies which can turn the South American Republic into a major player in the energy sector in the English-speaking Caribbean. The only thing that this nation has heard about in recent times was a statement made by Energy Minister Gregory Bowen at the recent annual convention of the ruling party, when he seemingly embarrassed the Russians by announcing to party members and supporters that GPG did not have the money to do what was expected of them and had to look towards China to find a company with the financial resources to get involved in the oil and gas exploration in our waters. This is the same GPG that was sold to Grenadians as a gold mine, that even provided the cash to help the Mitchell-led government to extricate itself from a controversial oil and gas agreement that it had signed way back in the 1995 to 1999 period with the U.S. oilman Jack Grinberg. Grenadians are now hearing, all of a sudden, that the Russians are cash-strapped and looking towards the Chinese to get involved in the oil and gas exploration in our waters. Wasn't it the same Russians who had come up with the finance to bail out Minister Bowen from a rather sticky situation when Grinberg had taken legal action against him personally, and millions had to be found to pay lawyers in the United States to keep the American millionaire at bay? Isn't this the same GPG that provided in excess of $5 million to Grenada to finance the cost of an arbitration hearing involving Grinberg's company, to determine who really controlled Grenada's potential oil and gas resources? The New Today is not happy with the secret manner in which PM Mitchell and Minister Bowen are continuously keeping information away from Grenadians about the oil and gas deposits in our waters. Who are these Chinese and their track record? What role did the Financial Intelligence Unit play in vetting them as a good and credible company to come into our waters? The country's image took a beating internationally with its association with Chinese businessman Charles Liu, who is in legal troubles in the United States over a cancer treatment program in which some of his countrymen complained that they were scammed of millions of dollars in the project. The Grenadian people have a right to know who are the new players from China involved in our oil and gas business. What is the deal between CPG and this unknown Chinese outfit? What impact will the GPG Chinese deal have on the existing contractual agreement between the Russian group and the Grenadian government? Is the government fully on top and aware of the GPG Chinese deal? And is it in the best interest of the country? The bottom line is, what is in it for the people of Grenada, who were promised to see money, money, money flowing into the local economy because of the successful oil and gas find by the Russians in our waters? The evidence is there for all to see that Dr. Mitchell is constantly hiding things which should be in the public domain from the people of Grenada, and therefore cannot be trusted to looking after the nation's interest on oil and gas. The public sector unions trusted the Prime Minister and his negotiating team on the 25% gratuity and pension payment issue. leading up to the election, as oil and gas money from the Russians was expected to pay for it. But within weeks, they soon learned the hard way that they were outfoxed and left with an empty bag to hold. The gentleman's agreement was virtually thrown out the door on the grounds that the signed memorandum of understanding did not include the 25% figure that the unions claimed was put before them around the negotiating table by the head of the government negotiating team, Cabinet Secretary Beryl Isaac. This is really a government of trickery and tomfoolery that should never again be trusted, since they have betrayed the working class in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Okay? Pilgrims, at 3 minutes before the hour, that's going to take care of your two editorials this week. You heard from the Grenada Advocate and also from the New Today. Let me see what's going on Facebook there. Facebook. Okay, here we go. Mickaman Alexander is saying, good morning, George and class. Happy holiday to one and all. You're way ahead of the game, man. We still have a few days. Today is what, the 16th? 9 more days to go, Mickaman. Fitzroy Adams says, George, it's very simple. You don't call off a strike while negotiating. The union leaders are playing into the government's hands. You may have a point, I don't know. So says Fitzroy Adams on Facebook. Annette Ragbasing says, maybe oil money is flowing, but where? Yeah. Yes, Annette. Margaret says, if the unions entered the MOU with NNP based on a promise of oil revenue, then that was the equivalent of buying cat and bag. What were they thinking? Margaret, yeah. Maybe we can find out from Rachael when she gets here a little while. I'm surprised that she's not here. She's on her way, but she's supposed to be here at 10 o'clock. It's now 1 minute away from 10 o'clock. So I'm going to try and kill some time here and hope that she shows up really soon. Okay, Margaret. All right, Pilgrims, let me get back here, take a little break, and then we're going to come back, hopefully, with Rachael.
Hubbard's, bringing you Frigidaire Christmas cheer. With the purchase of any Frigidaire fridge, freezer, stove, washer, or air conditioning unit, you get a free 3-piece Frigidaire non-stick pot set. Come into our appliance department on the Carronage and Building Supplies Grandlands to get your trusted Frigidaire products and enhance your cooking this Christmas. Offer available while stocks last. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Why wish upon a star?
Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Core Bank and you.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenada's Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenlec. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlec customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenlec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Okie dokie, folks. Okie dokie. It's now 2 minutes after the hour, man. Let me tell you, this lady, I have to ask her, are you a Grenadian? Rachael?
Of course I am Grenadian.
The reason why I'm asking, Grenadians are not usually on time for anything. And you got here at exactly 10 o'clock. At about 1 minute to 10, I was saying to our listeners, we're going to go to a little break here, but she's not here yet. And there you go. Thank you for coming, my dear.
You're most welcome.
So you didn't miss Mass 2 weeks in a row.
I did not miss Mass in 2 weeks in a row, no.
You missed last week?
No.
But yesterday when I spoke to you, you said you didn't want to miss today.
No, I was in Mass today. I came straight from church and come here.
Okay.
Yes,
All
I
right.
did not miss Mass. No.
Rachel, just before I get to you, let me say something here. A couple of notes on Facebook. Kipling Francis is saying, and he's responding to Margaret here. Margaret was saying, if the unions entered the MOU with NNP based on a promise of oil reserves, then that was the equivalent of buying cat and bag. What were they thinking? Well, Kipling responded by saying, as always, Margaret, not thinking at all, just following the leader. Then, I think, I'm going to try to pronounce this properly. I think it's Lion, Lionn. Lion Thomas says, why is his program always buffering and intermittent? Lion, I'm not going to get into this, but I'm assuming that you're probably new to this. Since, God knows, since we started doing this back in April, this has been happening. And only this morning I spent a lot of time explaining what's being done or not being done. So I'm sorry, really don't have the time to get into that this morning. I do apologize because I know it's annoying, but so be it. Mecca Man Alexander says, we all know this man never keeps his promises when it comes to the economy of his country. So says Mecca Man Alexander. Okay, Ryan says, what the Chinese want? Oil and gas? I don't know. Rachael, thank you, my friend, for... Hold on a minute. Hold on. Jabon says, Grenada crude oil and gas. We rich. I'm not yet sure about that. Ryan. Isaac says, just to raise the word caused, which is extra. Okay, let me get to Rachael. Rissy Francis says, splendid morning, my George. Top of the morning to you, and top of the morning to you too, Rissy. Rachael, the struggle continues, doesn't it?
The struggle continues.
Yeah. We all know by now that the government made a proposal to you guys, which you rejected. you made a proposal to the government, which they rejected. So that's where we stand right now.
Yes.
Both parties standing firm.
Yes.
Let me hear your take. I saw on Facebook recently, this past week, where somebody says that the government is digging its heels in. And are you guys digging your heels in as well?
The union's position. Let me first say good morning to the viewing and the listening public, and to say thank you to Brother George Grant for having me here once more again to really share light and to tell our story in respect to the pension saga that is going along. I would say to you, Brother Grant, that the unions and staff associations have always been clear in their position as to what is it they are prepared to do when it comes to the pension and gratuity for their membership. Their membership have given them a clear mandate. The membership of the unions have given a clear mandate. And I believe the membership of the staff associations and gazetted officers have also given their members, their leaders, a clear mandate. And that is the mandate on which we negotiate when we go to the PEC, to the Pension Engagement Committee, to conduct any negotiations. We negotiate based on that mandate. Our membership have clearly stated to us that they are not prepared to give up the 25% gratuity, as we have already compromised. Brother Grant, as you would know, the unions and staff associations took a decision to reduce their pension and take one pension. So they would no longer be accepting two pensions as before, but they are now willing to accept just one pension from the NIS. And they said we would take 70% and we would allow government to just give us a top-up based on that 70%, and we would allow the NIS to give us the remainder. It means that government commitment to public officers was tremendously reduced. Government now had a commitment to any public officer of less than 50%. Because if you look at the rate that the NIS gives, of course we know that NIS is now at 57%. But any officer leaving the public service at 26 and 2/3 years means that they would have acquired at least 47% under the NIS. And government would be giving them the remainder to ensure that they go home with 70% of their last salary as pension. What we simply asked of government, because we were giving them such a break, compromising in such a manner, we said to government, give us our gratuity, which is something that workers depend on to support them to be able to take care of certain commitments that they would have had, their mortgages and other such commitments. Now, let me point out, I want to point out to the nation and to all persons that the issue that we are struggling for today is not an issue that would happen today. It would happen today only for the persons who would have left the service years ago and maybe recently. It is a retirement benefit that we are struggling for. It is not a salary increase, it is a retirement benefit. And I want all and sundry to recognize that this matter is a matter for persons who would retire and would benefit in their senior ages. When you reach a certain age in life and you would have given your 26 and 2/3 years of service, or you would have retired at the age of 60, that is the only time that you would actually receive that benefit. Because I hear the misinformation being carried around and stated that we're fighting for an increase now. No, we're not fighting for a salary increase. We are fighting for our survival in our senior ages. I want to call it our golden ages, our twilight ages, when the aches and pains are much more than you experience in your young, youthful ages. When you have serious doctor bills to pay, some of us may not be able to enjoy life to the quality that we used to before because of those conditions that we would have within that period, and have to spend much more than we are spending today. In that time, nobody wants to have a mortgage that they still have to pay. So you want to be able to get rid of those things. And that's why that gratuity is so beneficial and important to public officers. And let me see, pension is not, and gratuity is not something that is a favor that is being given to us. Pension and gratuity are retained earnings from during your years of service that any employer should be giving to its employee when it leaves its service.
It's actually your money.
Pardon me?
It's actually your money.
Thank you. And in Grenada, if persons are not aware, many persons receive 2 pensions because their employment would have given them one, and the NIS would give them an old age benefit. And I want to stress the point that the NIS benefit is not a retirement benefit. It is an old age benefit that you get. NIS does much more than just giving persons retirement. So the contribution that you give to NIS has to spread for many other things, your maternity or whatever else. And this is why government had that obligation to its employees, and we must not mix up the two. So when we say we get in 2, even then it is a misunderstanding of what is happening. And added to that, I want to come back to the fact that while some people are saying they are not entitled, and this is a favor that the government is doing, and the government themselves feel that they are doing us a favor because we're not entitled to this, I want to send the message home that public officers under the Constitution is entitled to a pension. And it was unjust.
Oh, Rachel's crown fell off. Your crown.
I want to apologize. Yes, my hair is too smooth.
Okay.
So the crown is not fitting very well. Well, it's very well fitting now.
Okay.
Yes, and as I was saying, that the Constitution actually offers you that benefit, provides that benefit for persons, because our forefathers understood what would happen to persons in their senior ages and understood the importance of that benefit. The persons who wrote that Constitution understood very well what they're doing. And as I always said, public officers are the only persons, not public officers, but trade unions are the only organizations stated in the Constitution other than other government institutions. Right? So I want to say to us, as an organization that is, that when we speak of our pension and gratuity with such passion, it is because it is stated in the Constitution. It is a right that was given to us, a right that was bestowed on us by our Constitution of 1958. And the myth that is being broadcast, and the myth that seems to be going out there, advertised out there, and portrayed out there, that public officers are not entitled, is one that we need to dispel. And the unions and staff associations really did a favor to our government by actually signing an MOU to say that we prepare to take something of a lesser benefit than what was given to us and bestowed upon us in our Constitution. And we believe that our government should have appreciated that and valued that and done what should be done to ensure that public officers are treated properly and receive justice.
You know, as I sit here listening to you, Rachel, I can't help but think, you guys made a promise that you would explain to the administration how this could be resolved. And from what I'm hearing, you have actually made that attempt. But not even having done so, you now seem to have run up against a brick wall. Do you have something else up your sleeve? Or
Yes, we seem to have run up against a brick wall because, as we stated, and if you had seen our notices that we would have sent out to our members, you would have noticed that we would have said the government is unmovable in its decision that it is not going to offer public officers its 25% gratuity that they so deserve. Government, and I went through this point already, and I'm going to repeat it, that it is very sad that our government, whom we serve and whom we work for on a daily basis, providing services, and whom we have to work side by side with, are going to want to discriminate against a group of persons and unjustly and unfairly treat them, to say to them, I am not going to offer you the benefit that you deserve. That is very sad. And to even go so far as to seek to put the entire nation against the group of persons who serve Grenada is even in a more sad situation. And to think that the leader who should be bringing people together and joining the country together would be foremost in trying to disjoint our people and bring this harmony and this unity among our people. And especially, Brother Grant, in this season, which is a season of rejoicing, a season of caring, a season of sharing, a season when we should be opening our hearts to people and thinking about how we can do good, the goodwill that we should be bringing, that we should be doing this. And it tells us that the spirit of Christmas and that joy of the coming of our Lord and Savior does not resonate with these persons. Because, Brother George, if we are a people who believe in the truth of Christmas, we would really recognize that what we are doing to our people, to our employees, is really unjust. And we are not being fair, we are not being honest with our employees. And persons must really speak that truth in this season to say to our leaders that you need to treat your employees with justice. You need to treat your employees fairly. And honest citizens of this country who have been following this story and recognize what is happening would realize that our employers are only thinking selfishly for themselves, for their own interests. And it appears that this is what this seems to have been about all along. Because we signed an MOU within a very strategic period of our history when it was an election cycle. And it seems to be playing out. It is appearing that this is what this was all about. And sad to say, it is a very selfish position to take against your employees.
Well, My Rachel, I hope it doesn't come as a surprise to you because I mean it's not just the unions that are being treated that way. It seems to me that things in this country today must go the government way or no way at all. It's not you guys alone who are being subjected to that. You know,
Brother Grant,
I'm not saying it's right.
my answer to this, Brother Grant, is that we live in a democratic country. And if it seems to us that our democratic rights appears to be trampled upon and we're not given the voice and we're not listened to, our leaders are not listening to the people, there would be a problem.
That's
And-
happening.
And it is sad that that is happening, and this is the way that our government wants to go, the way that our leaders wants to go. Because any good leader would want to listen to the voice of its people, and it would never believe that my way is the only way and my way is the best way.
Okay.
Being democratic means that you listen to the views that are different to you and try to come together in a unified way, that you're able to meet persons in the middle and be able to direct persons in a manner that satisfies the needs of all. So it is very sad that we would try to take, and I keep recognizing as we go forward, Brother Grant, that we are probably building a dictatorship society. And that is very scary, to say the least, Brother Grant, that we are going down a road that seems to be a society that wants to lead its people by the stick.
Okay, that's a thought that's been bandied about a lot in the past couple of years. It's nothing new in the case of the unions issue. On Rumble Chat here, somebody named Donna Lusan, I think her name is, Lusan. Donna says, "Thank you, sister. We have already given up 56% for our pension out of the 70%. Government is only paying 10% and NIS 60%. True?"
I want to just correct that slightly, because at the beginning, you would have heard me say that NIS is now only at 57%. We have to look at the age of NIS, and every year NIS adds another percent for the years, and very soon it would be at 60. It is not all day at a 60. It still has another 3 years to go. Next year would be 58%, and then it would be another 2% before it actually reaches 60. But I also want to clarify to persons that where we are now at that 57% and the 70% that we actually saying to government is on the last salary. So it may very well be that after you have received your 47% after your 26 and 2/3 years, that government may have to actually give you just a little more than the 23%. It may be 25% to actually take you to the 70%. Right? Because they would top you up to ensure that your last take home, what you're taking home, is 70% of your last salary. We have to understand that NIS contribution is based on 5 best years, the average of 5 best years, recognizing that 5,000 is the highest salary that NIS would recognize.
Okay.
So that has to be taken into consideration also.
Okay.
I would ask persons to go on the NIS website and familiarize yourself with exactly what NIS you would receive for your old age benefit when you leave the service, wherever you may be employed, and you would have left at 60, what is it you would really be benefiting from? The amount that you would be gaining from NIS. Persons could see, and then they would understand exactly the arguments that we are really putting forward here. And what we say also, I want to point out to persons, all public officers are not going to leave the public service at the same time. And most public officers leave the public service at the age of 60. However, public officers also want to have the choice as to whether or not they leave at the age of 60 or whether or not they leave at their 26 and 2/3 years when they would have given their proper service. And that is something that we say to our employer as we negotiated, as the negotiation continues, we are willing to look at the permutations that they want to put forward along with our 25%. And we gave to the government our last proposal at least 7 different options surrounding leaving the service at the age of 50, leaving the service at the age of 55, leaving the service at the age of 60. So it meant that we would have now even given the government the option to compromise even further in the years of service that a public officer may make when they are about to retire. So we went the mile to say, let us compromise even further and put forward the position, the option for government to choose. You can leave the service at 60, you can leave at 55, or you can leave at 60, which meant that in some ways, the 26 and 2/3 years that we were offering, while it was still there for persons to have the option, we said to government, we would look at those positions, those options. And we even went a step further to say to government, we would even look at reducing the years that this is going to be calculated by. Rather than 12 years, we are willing to look at a lesser number of years. And those were not taken. Government seemed not willing to appreciate any option, but to say that you are violating the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And it seems to us, and the rules of that, and it seems to us that rather than look at the fact that these are persons that have served and these are persons that have given years of service, you place a Responsibility Act in front of that, and even violating the Constitution, an act that is in violation of the Constitution because it totally hinders and does not regard the fact that public officers are actually entitled to a pension. And it tells us that government, and they have said it, government have said it. The Minister Oliver Joseph has clearly stated that government has no legal obligation to public officers to give them a pension.
I heard that.
And this, we are saying this is totally wrong.
Okay. Rachael, stick a pin there for a minute. Whoever is calling is going to have to hang in there. Let me take a little break here, and we're going to come back.
Spread some cheer and show you care with GRENADABROADCAST Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with GRENLEC. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our GRENLEC customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with GRENLEC's Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Hubbards, bringing you Frigidaire Christmas cheer. With the purchase of any Frigidaire fridge, freezer, stove, washer, or air conditioning unit, you get a free 3-piece Frigidaire non-stick pot set. Come into our appliance department on the Carronage and Building Supplies Grandance to get your trusted Frigidaire products and enhance your cooking this Christmas. Offer available while stocks last. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Boy, it's Christmas again.
Here we are. We're back with Rachael Roberts, the president of the Grenada Public Workers Union. Rachael, a couple of things before we move on here. First of all, somebody on Facebook is saying, as a public service pensioner, I commiserate with you and agree that one must prepare to be pensionable. Okay? Now, while you were in church this morning, I read something on the air that somebody had sent to me during the course of this week, and I promised that I would repeat it because I really wanted you to hear this and get your comments. Okay? Yeah, we're going to say goodbye to this caller for the time being. And the comment that was made, let me read this to you, Rachael, because I think it's very, very important. The person said, a word of advice to the public sector unions on negotiations with government on the pension and gratuity issue. It is clear that the government is not negotiating in good faith. Please put a halt to the charade that is taking place. The unions must immediately move to the Constitutional Court to get a ruling again on the pension and gratuity issue. All the unions have to do is get one public officer or teacher who has retired post 1985 or is about to retire to take action against government for their pension. This ruling from the Constitutional Court will clear up once and for all the myth by government that to pay the 25% will interfere with the Fiscal Responsibility Act as signed by the IMF. Everyone knows that any act of Parliament, such as the Fiscal Responsibility Act, that is in conflict with the Constitution, that act will become null and void. The court will give priority and an immediate hearing to any constitutional motion filed on pension and gratuity. Finally, the membership must call on Rachael Roberts, Andre Lewis, and Lyden Lewis to end the tomfoolery with government and take the pension and gratuity issue immediately to the Constitutional Court for a quick ruling. Young lady, I want to hear your take on this.
Let me say to the caller, to the writer, that first and foremost, unions operate on a collective decision-making basis. We make decisions collectively with our membership. The leaders of the union are to give the necessary guidance, the necessary direction, to advise our membership on what we think would be best for them. However, the decision, the final decision, is always made with the membership after giving them all the information, all the facts, all the pros and the cons, what we believe should be best in their best interests. And as a trade union movement, we operate in the best interests of our membership. Our membership voices are heard. We listen to the voice of the members because we operate within a democratic organization. And I'm happy for the advice by the writer and the unions, recognizing that we are at a table that seems to be a rigid table, that seems to have no flexibility, would definitely meet as a body, the leaders, and determine whether or not we go back to our membership or whether or not we continue on that table. And the membership are going to hear from us as to what that decision is. And I ask the membership to stay tuned and to listen, because very soon within the week, they would know whether or not we need them to come and sit with us and make decisions, because any final decision must be determined by them. Brother Grant, I don't know if you recall that when we were making the decision to sign an MOU, that the Public Workers Union got its mandate from its entire body. We did not sign the MOU without our membership giving us that mandate. We went to our members and we asked them whether or not they would want to continue with the MOU as the rest of the unions and associations would have done, or whether they would want to take a separate route. And the members clearly stated we want to go with the MOU because we believe that our government is speaking to us in good faith, that the government is serious about actually honoring the pension of public officers. Now we recognize that somewhere along the line, it seems to be that we were taken for a merry-go-round, honestly. And that the government is not operating in good faith, that the government does not want to bring a just result to this. They do not want to give public officers something that would be just and honorable, something that would enable them to live a quality standard of living in their senior ages. And we talk of the FRA, and Brother Grant, I'm sure you would have recognized that unions have always stated, the trade union movement, specifically, I want to say the trade union movement because that involves all trade unions, have clearly stated that we believe that the FRA is an unjust law, that it hinders collective bargaining, and that it does not allow persons their right of freedom of association to be able to freely negotiate on the table and to be able to get their benefits. Because it sets a barrier to any form of negotiation. And if you recognize the only barrier in that Fiscal Responsibility Act seems to be a barrier for the trade union movement and for workers. And it always seems to us that whenever workers have to get something, we do not get it easily. We get it with a struggle. Every right that a worker have gotten in this country have been gotten, received with a struggle. Over the world, it has been received with a struggle. It is the history of the trade union movement. And I don't know when that would stop, Brother Grant. But it seems to be a continuing history.
Getting back to the FRA, essentially what I heard you saying indirectly is that the FRA is unconstitutional.
Exactly, Brother Grant. For us, it is unconstitutional. We do not believe that the FRA, there may be some good things within it that could really help Grenada to keep its economy strong and keep us on a safe path. But there are things in it that are oppressive, and there are things in it that does not allow justice. There are things in it that seems to want to keep its people in poverty and seems to want to prevent workers from being able to get what is constitutionally due to them.
All right, stick up in there for a minute. I don't want to get behind Facebook. Kipling says, could she explain under which constitution? Is it the country constitution or the PM's constitution where he does whatever he feels? I'm not going to let you answer
I
that
know. I think Kipling knows the answer to that.
Okay. Hold on now. Ryan says, divide and rule. That old cherry is most prevalent now. Then, she's shaking her head.
Yes, I believe so.
Then Margaret Francis says, but this government has demonstrated over and over again that it does not keep its word. So why did the union think that would change now? I mean, seriously. Can the Ethiopian change his skin or the leopard its spots?
And this is why I keep saying that we believe that, and I would say it outright, that probably the time has come for the union leaders to return to its membership to give us another mandate. Let them tell us, do you want us to continue on that new table that we went on that seems to be keeping out of us from really receiving bread, from having food at the table? Or do you want us to take another route, another alternative?
All right. There's another comment here. This one is from Gemma Monica Hunt. She's saying, it's a dictatorship we have in Grenada. And then Spice Babes Duncan says, Grenadians love the dictatorship, SHM. Kipling Francis says, when will we stop saying Grenada is democratic? Does the meaning of the word change? What say you, Rach?
I believe, Brother Grant, we have to start empowering our people and letting our people know what their rights are, the power that they have as a people, the authority that we have as a people, as citizens of this country. Because, of course, we see the divide and rule strategy, tactics that is being used by our government against public officers. Because you hear things like bandied about, like persons would not be able to enjoy the school books program. Persons would not be able to enjoy the debushing program. The Imanis would be affected. And these are the type of things that we are hearing that are being placed on the table against public officers. And we know that these are untruths. Because we are also saying to our government, give persons a fish, teach persons how to fish, and not give them a fish a day. So having persons on a debushing program, having persons on an Imani program, and the Imani program, we feel very sad about that program, what it is doing to our young people.
We could get into that in just a minute, but we could get into that in just a minute, but we do have a caller. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Citizen Grant. Greetings and greetings to your guest, Citizen Roberts. 4 little things, but they'll be brief. First of all, an expression of solidarity. I wish to express my solidarity with the workers in their struggle against this government. As far as I have read so far, I'm quite convinced that this is a matter of violation of the said constitution that we boast about so much. The second thing is this. Citizen Roberts, you have a major problem in the expression, the use of the verbal expression would have plus the past participle. I wish you'd look at it. And I'm telling you this because I'm getting annoyed. The third thing is this, just a brief comment on my research. As far as Section 92 and 93 of the Constitution said, in addition to public officers, public workers, judges also enjoy the benefits of all the what's expected of the pensions, etc. Question, therefore, can you tell us whether or not the judges who from time to time may retire do enjoy the benefits of the Constitution, or is it that they suffer the same plight as you are suffering? Thank you very much. Have a nice day, will you?
That is a very interesting question that the caller has raised, Brother Grant. And you know what? It is something that we probably need to investigate. Whether or not the judges have also been denied a pension, or whether or not judges who retire actually receive their gratuity and their pension. That would be a very interesting answer to that question. And if it is, we ask the question again, why is it that there is some imbalance? Why is it that there is not equity within how the law is being administered, how the Constitution is being administered? Because, Brother Grant, as we know, politicians were never given a pension under the Constitution. The Constitution does not afford any political person a constitution, a pension or gratuity. But the Constitution gave us ours, and it is being denied. So tell me, can we just blindly abandon our Constitution and bring in a law that is illegal and violates the Constitution? Is that right? Is that just? Is that something that happens normally in any society? I ask the question, I beg, that one party could go to Parliament and just give itself a pension without any regard to what obtains in the Constitution. And disadvantage one group of persons and affords itself the opportunity to be able to retire comfortably. And we always say that we are not against politicians for having a pension and gratuity, because of course they serve Grenada just as we serve Grenada. So then they should give us ours as well as have theirs, enjoy theirs.
Okay. Another question here, very interesting question for you. This comes from somebody named Leon Thomas. What I don't understand is the 25% of what amount, since you don't know how long a person will live after the retirement age?
25% was going to be of 12.5 years, right? So you would get that 25% of your pension, your full pension, for 12 and a half years. So the gratuity is calculated on 12 and a half years. So you would get that before you leave, when you retire, upfront. That 12 and a half years of service that you give. Rather than wait 12 and a half to get it monthly, you get it in a lump sum figure. There are persons, Brother Grant, who choose to take it monthly, and there are persons who choose to take it in a lump sum. Because as the caller rightly said, as the person rightly said, we don't know how long we would live. And that is the lifetime age that has been given, 72 years. And that is why it is 12.5 years, because it is estimated that persons would live approximately up to 72 years. So you get that benefit. And as we say now, persons living even shorter. We may say that the statistics does not show that. But here in Grenada, I see many of the persons in the service dying at a very early age. Some of them leave the service and immediately, before they could even enjoy a year after 60, they are dead. I see those before they could enjoy 5 years after 60, they are in the coffin. So, Brother Grant, what is that telling us about our ability to enjoy our pension and our gratuity?
All right, Rachael, listen, you've spent a lot of time this morning explaining the union's perspective, and one can only hope that this attitude on the part of the administration, where they're simply not listening, not just to the unions, but to people in this country, period, let's hope that will be abated. We're running out of time, but there's a comment, somebody with a sense of humor. Somebody says, Keith is like a spider. The union is like a fly. Before the election, he tied him up in his web. Now it's time to eat. Now, I also want to shift gears a little bit here, because, I mean, listening to you this morning, it seems like you guys are trying to play fair. But this past week, we heard in the news there's another allegation of wrongdoing on the part of the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. It's something that's being rehashed. And the first thought that came to the minds of a lot of people, in fact, this was in the media as well, and I think the Cricket Association in St. Andrew, they actually came out and said this is just an attempt to vilify the man.
It is a shame, Brother Grant, that we should go so low to actually try to discredit persons, to make the public feel that we have dishonest persons serving within the trade union movement. Is a shame on the part of whoever is doing it. Mm-hmm. And if Grenada could be, and I want to use the word, I want to use a word, the word nasty, that we have become very nasty in how we treat with issues and how we discuss issues and how we try to resolve issues, if we should go so low. But I want to say to them, when they go low, the trade union movement would go high. We would not stoop and enter into the gutter as they would. Whoever is putting out those nasty allegations, as I put it, Brother Grant, we would rise above that. And I stand firm in my belief that every trade union leader that is in this fight are honorable persons and are persons who are interested in the well-being and welfare of workers and have the workers' interests at heart. And it is really, really disheartening, heartbreaking that we should stoop to such a level in this country when we're trying to deal with an issue. And as I say, the divide and rule tactics has become so serious in this country that it is sad. I was attacked, Brother Grant, as I was coming into your studios this morning. I was verbally attacked by a neighbor, saying that we want monies and we are not looking out for the interests of children, we are not looking out for the interests of the rest of Grenada, and all we're interested in is getting monies for ourselves and being very selfish. I want to also make the point, Brother Grant, that we seem to have not made before, that government knew about this matter for years. This is not a today matter. And if they were serious about resolving it, they would have said to themselves, I know this matter is going to come to a head, so let me prepare and let me plan. Let me do something. Let me put something in a little kitty that when the time comes, I know that I have something that I could give to start using as a savings to give to public officers. And the government, what we find out is that government is boasting about its economic condition, that it is 10 years advance to the debt to GDP ratio as to where it wants to be and all of that. Is it a must that it has to be 10 years? That the interest of people is not taken to heart? That you're not concerned about the needs of your citizens and the well-being of your citizens, but only concerned about the figures of the country? We are concerned too about the figures of our country. But I believe when we stop fighting for people's interests and we start putting our interests in only our selfish gains, to me, you're doing an injustice to humanity, you're doing an injustice to your citizens, and you're not being very honest to your people, and you're really demonstrating that you do not care about the interests of your people. But what you are really and truly interested in is that of power. And it is a sad situation when persons only believe that power is what they want. The only goal is power and not serving people.
Thank you, Rachael. Thank you. I again appreciate your visit. Something you wanted to share with us before? This is an Advent prayer. You want to read this for us?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. And let's do that quickly because
as we are now in the season of Advent, I just want to share with us what this season is about. Because as the liturgical calendar year says of the Roman Catholic Church, what is the meaning of this Sunday that we are in is Gaudete Sunday. And that meaning in Latin word means rejoice. It is a moment for us to stop and reflect on the source of true joy. This Sunday is a joyful reminder that our salvation is near. We speak of joy, the joy of a people redeemed and restored, the joy of a God who is deeply invested in the life of the world. God sings, God shouts, God rejoices, and we, who are wonderfully and inexplicably God's beloved, join in the celebration. We prepare this week by feeling the joy. We move through this week feeling a part of the waiting world that rejoices because our longing has prepared us to believe the reign of God is close at hand. Prepare, and it calls for us to prepare our hearts and remove the sadness that hinders us from feeling the joy and the hope which His presence will bestow. And in doing so, it means us to cleanse our hearts.
Okay.
And if we are to cleanse our hearts, Brother Grant, we must open to the truth. And we have to speak truth to power. Thank you.
Very powerful words, Rachael. Before you go, what's the likelihood of this thing carrying on through the Christmas season?
The unions and staff associations are going to meet sometime quickly, and then we would see how we could meet with our membership so that we can make certain decisions and be able to move forward in the new year in a direction that all our members would want us to. We serve our members' interests, and they must have the voice to be able to say what it is they would like to do. And that is not the position of, when I speak today, I speak of the position, I speak for the Public Workers Union.
Okay.
when the unions and staff association meet, we would have
This week, maybe?
a united decision.
This week?
Yes, we would meet this week.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rachael Roberts, and I appreciate your time. We're going to be keeping a close eye on this, and as you exit here, I'm sure you're going to see Lady Anande Trotman, Lady Joseph outside there. Would you ask her to come on in for me, please? Rachael Roberts, the president of the Public Workers Union. And we're going to take a little break here now, Pilgrims, and we're going to come on back with Lady Joseph after this.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Hubbard's, bringing you Frigidaire Christmas cheer. With the purchase of any Frigidaire fridge, freezer, stove, washer, or air conditioning unit, you get a free 3-piece Frigidaire non-stick pot set. Come into our appliance department on the Carronage and Building Supplies Grandance to get your trusted Frigidaire products and enhance your cooking this Christmas. Offer available while stocks last. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Boy, it's Christmas again.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks, just before we move on, Lady Joseph is sitting here with us, and just before we say good morning to her, I want to say good morning to those of you around at least some of you around the world who are with us this morning. They're out there in Germany, in Toronto, Canada, Roseau, Dominica, Brooklyn, New York, Woodford in England, Manchester in England, Chateauguay in Canada, Mississauga, Ontario. Chateauguay, by the way, I think is in Quebec. Tons of people here in Grenada, Port of Spain, Trinidad, Tunapuna, Trinidad, Dallas, Texas, Road Town of the Virgin Islands, Lanham and Maryland, Maple, Ontario, Brooklyn, New York, Etobicoke, Ontario, Decatur in Georgia, Fort Lauderdale in Florida, Los Angeles, California, Southall in England, Detroit, Michigan, Ellenwood in Georgia, Pigots in Antigua, Barbuda, Detroit, Michigan, Toronto again, Tunapuna in Trinidad, Kitchener, Ontario, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Manhattan in New York, Buffalo in New York, Montreal, Quebec, Richland in Washington State, Seattle in Washington. I think I'm pronouncing this properly. It's Miege, M-I-E-G-E. It's in Switzerland, Coventry in England, Thornhill, Ontario, Wilde, Barbados, Sanford in Florida. Tons of people in Toronto this morning. Coshalton, that's in England. Charlotte, North Carolina. Now this place is called Darname, N-A-I-M. Now, hold on a minute. Darname is in Mauritania. Hello, Mauritania. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Haven't seen you before, but we hope this is only the first of several visits. Roseau, Dominica. Victoria in British Columbia. Brooklyn, New York. Pigot's, Kingston, Jamaica. New York, New York. Kingstown, St. Vincent. Yeah. Folks, there you have it. Now, take a look at this charming lady sitting here. This is the face of the chairman of the Office of the Integrity Commission, Lady Anande Joseph Trotman. There you go. Good morning, lady. How are you doing?
Good morning, George. I hope my speaker system is plugged into yours.
Yes, it is, but you're not going to be hearing anything up there.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
okay.
checking.
It's been a while.
Yes, indeed, George.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope, let me say right now, I certainly hope that the length of time I have to wait for the next session is not going to be as long as the one I've just waited. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, let's hope so indeed. And let me just say good morning, not only to you, but to all those who are listening or plugged in to the World Wide Web to your program. And I really am very happy for your invitation this morning. And I'm here on behalf of the Integrity Commission of Grenada, and just to share as well that we are also plugged in regionally and internationally, but more importantly, regionally, because we are a member of the CCAICB, which
That's
is
a
our
long
regional
one.
body. Yes, a long acronym, but it stands for the Commonwealth Caribbean Association of Integrity Commissions and Anti-Corruption Bodies. So there's a lot that has been going on, not only in Grenada, but Grenada was the founding place of this regional body, and that's why I quickly shared that. We held the chair of that organization for 2 consecutive terms, and now, of course, we serve as the immediate past president, and we have a seat on that executive council. So here we are.
When was that organization formed? How many years?
That organization was formed, I believe, in 2014, right here in Grenada, in
Okay.
St. George's.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And now, between 2014 and now 2018, on average about 4 years, would you say that it has brought benefits to the Grenadian people, the Grenadian environment?
I would definitely say yes. We are actually here in Grenada, our Integrity Commission. We are contending to become a best practice, a regional best practice. And the reason I can say that with confidence is because not only were we established in, I believe that would have been in 2011, and we were firstly appointed by His Excellency Sir Carlisle Glean, and successively those appointments where persons have been able to go on. We've had reappointments, and of course, along the way, because of the nature, the very difficult, perhaps, nature of our work, because one, you're established, that is by appointment, and then there was a time when we had no office, no budget, then we got an office, then we got a budget, and then we had to populate our office with suitable persons along the way. Some left, new ones came, and so on. So it has been a bit of a task, so to speak.
Teething pains.
Teething pains, thank you. I use some big words sometimes. I say we have grown organically, meaning we have been building out an anti-corruption system in Grenada. It's completely new, it's culture shifting, it's different to what we have known. But yet, we remain in collaboration with all that was there before and all that is coming on stream even as we started up our operations, and we operationalized in 2014, even though we were established in 2011.
All right. Now, you mentioned you're in the process of building an anti-corruption system.
Yes.
Take a few minutes and just
Sure.
explain to me that system and how it's going to work.
Sure. And I'm really grateful to share for this opportunity to share what it means to be building out a system. Because sometimes we see in our media or coming through the diaspora, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share with them what we do. And just to share, sometimes people think it's an I team, but it's really a we team. Because firstly, as I said, the commissioners were appointed by the Governor General. And I just want to share very quickly, George, that our first two chairpersons are very esteemed patriots of Grenada. Sir Lyle St. Paul and Dame Monica Joseph, both retired judges. And I really say that because they brought to us a certain level of experience, especially legal experience, that really set the tone for the implementation and building out of what is really a legal system. An integrity and anti-corruption system is a legal system. And I share very briefly that, when most of us began this work, we were honored and very humbled to have been appointed or even selected or recommended as persons of high integrity, perhaps, or persons who it was thought, because of our subject matter experience, could really contribute to building a system. So,
Just stick a pin for
Yes.
a minute. You keep talking about it's a legal system.
Yes.
Legal, any different from the Constitution, which is also,
Yes.
by my understanding, a legal system?
Right. So I would say it's a little bit different from a constitutional system in the sense that we are not appointed by the Constitution, but we are appointed, of course, by His Excellency or Her Excellency, the Governor General, which of course really would be the office that upholds, in the highest sense, the Constitution.
But doesn't the Governor General operate under the Constitution?
That is why I'm making that reference. But yes, and we are really appointed, and I'm saying this is a legal system, because we're appointed to give life, to bring alive the Prevention of Corruption Act and the Integrity in Public Life Act. So these are our national acts or pieces of legislation or laws that guide how we're appointed, what we do, how we do, and when we do what we do in terms of a commission and our legal work. And I keep stressing legal because, people may not understand that we can only act within these laws. And quite interestingly, George, as we began our work, we quickly realized that we were not a silo. As a matter of fact, if we remained a silo, meaning if we stood alone or in terms of having to apply or relate to other constitutional office holders, for example, like the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Director of Audit, and so on, we quickly realized that we had a lot of stakeholders, and we began to work with them. So one of our first systems, besides operationalizing and setting up our internal systems, was to develop very quickly a stakeholders system, because we began to learn and understand through the law, for example, in Section 12.2 of the Integrity in Public Life Act, it provided that we were independent and not subject to the direction or control of any person or authority in the state of Grenada. So that is very nice because it means that we're independent and we can stand alone, but
Gives you a lot of power.
gives us a lot of power. But of course, when you have power, you have to be responsible,
Yeah.
mature,
Yeah.
and professional with that power. And that is what we are trying to implement in terms of how we exercise our rights and duties under our act. But also, very importantly, Section 12.2b also gave us another power, which became very quickly useful when we began to do our work and build out this very new area in Grenada. And that section says that in the exercise of its functions, the Commission may, in all cases where it considers it appropriate to do so, make use of the services or draw on the expertise of any law enforcement agency or the public service. So this means that we can, where we don't have perhaps the expertise, we can reach out and get that expertise from within the state of Grenada. And I must share that we've been also reaching out and accessing expertise outside of the state of Grenada regionally and globally. So I can go on all day, but you've asked me to share on our systems, and I've started to share how we have begun to build out these systems.
All right. So you've been around for about 4 years now. Let's talk about some of the achievements. I know that one of the first orders of business for your commission was to ask for disclosure on
Yes.
assets and stuff like that. What else? What are the other? First of all, was that a success?
Now, I must say, George, that is one of the platform systems of the Commission. And I would say it is very successful. There have been a few challenges, but very successful in the sense that we're getting a high response to our, we like to say we user-friendly, our invitations to declare the assets and liabilities.
That was a long time ago. Are they still declaring?
Every year, several times a year, this is ongoing.
Okay.
So that is one main thing that we do. And so persons need to understand, as you are rightly asking me, what it is we do. So receiving the assets and declarations of everyone in the public service or in public life. Annually, or sometimes because of our capacity, and I would share this because, as I said, we became operational from about 2014. We have a small staff, and a very small professional and competent staff and team, I may share. And because the law allows us to take in up to 15,000 declarations in a small space and with small staff, we, from time to time, prioritize who would bring in. So first of all, we're taking in our baseline declarations. And the 15,000 means public officers, anyone earning above 2,000 EC dollars, and their spouses. And if their children below 18, if they have any assets or incomes, they too would have to declare, the person declaring would have to say that. So each year, we send out invitations, and we're doing it systematically. Perhaps the most declared group of persons would be members of government. We call on them very often. Before elections this last turn, we had them in. And as the new ones come in, we're inviting them in. And periodically, we invite them in, almost every other year now, so that they show the highest degree of accountability in our systems. CEOs, deputy CEOs and managers, deputy chairs and CEOs of all statutory bodies, they have all declared. Some persons who, if you don't want to declare, you would have, in effect, it means you have to resign from those offices, and that has happened on a few occasions.
Okay.
Because it's, as I said before, it's an entirely new system. Some people don't like to what they term as the invasion of their privacy, where people know not only what you have, but what your spouse has. And what we find is that some spouses are reluctant. They don't want their information to be shared. They don't want to be caught up in a government system. So yes, it has been successful in that regard, George.
All right. Now, the Integrity Commission is out to deal with corruption.
Yes.
Okay.
Among other things.
Among other things. You recently commemorated Anti-Corruption Day internationally.
Yes.
And you mentioned a little while ago the Caribbean Commonwealth Association of Integrity Commissions.
Yes.
Well, the chairman of that organization was here.
Yes.
His name is Dirk Harrison. And he was heard to say that corruption can cripple an economy. As head of the Integrity Commission here in Grenada, can you point to examples of where you see that happening or possibility of it happening?
Well, let's go more to possibilities because, of course, it can happen here. I'm sure it is happening. As long as there are human beings alive, people always try to evade systems and to make a better way sometimes for themselves and their families. So, of course, there are opportunities for corruption right here. Very simply, I would say we can look at any public service system or department, and we, as I said when we started out looking at our two immediate laws, the Integrity in Public Life Act and the Prevention of Corruption Act, little did we know that it would take us to a whole multitude of legislation because, for example, there's a Procurement and Disposal Act, and that gives us, the area of procurement and disposal gives us an example of how there could be corruption. So let's say someone, perhaps who is in charge of, let's just say stationery, hiring or rather obtaining stationery for a government ministry or department. And I'm not saying that this is a case, I'm just giving an example. And this was shared with us, for example, when we have done training in Singapore, and also we've had the UNODC, which is the mechanism for the UN Convention Against Corruption, to which Grenada acceded in 2015. We have these examples being shared. A stationary purchase. So the person who is procuring stationery gets a kickback from the person who does the supplying, and that may come perhaps as a gift at Christmas, where they may be asked to choose furnitured courts as thank you, as a present for giving them this level of business all year, their stationery, their equipment, and so on. And because of the new standards, before that was just a gift, it might have been unwritten, it might have been unknown, but we have also implemented a gift registration or a gift registry system. So if you receive anything of value above 500 EC dollars, you are required to report this to the gift registry, through the Accountant General's chambers, and then we at the Integrity Commission, not meaning me, but our technical staff, would determine whether or not this is something you can keep or whether or not it is something that must be returned to the state and becomes the property of the state. And I'll give you an example. One prime minister of the region shared that a large hotelier body had given him Dom Perignon, I believe it was, but champagne regularly. Now, if that Dom Perignon champagne amounts to 500 plus, you need to declare that you have received this. And this is how we are trying to sensitize and highlight how corruption begins. Because it's not always the grand corruption and pointing fingers at the leaders always. I'm not saying that's not part of it, but sometimes it's the very simple office functions and with the persons who are outside of the limelight who can also keep systemic corruption going on year after year. And that is how we get to the trillions and the millions and so on.
You know, I appreciate the fact that you have you've used a couple of really good examples here, and you've provided detailed explanation. But, you know, when you hear how good the economy is doing here in Grenada, I thought you might have kept it short by saying we don't have corruption here.
I would never say that because we are all human beings. And I like to say we're all on the other side of heaven. None of us are there as yet. So, and that is why there are laws which guide us and tell us how to manage not only the economy, but how we manage those interactions in terms of our fiscal management, how we try to cut back. And George, as you know, we've done a lot of work together in terms of advocating for child rights and women's rights and elderly and disabled and so on. And why I bring my passion to this particular area is because I believe in empowerment. And one way of empowering our people is ensuring that the proceeds from the treasury, our taxpayers' money and all of the grant funding and so on, really reaches those people to whom or to who this money is intended, through the seed programs, through developing the rural communities and so on. And to me, this is what our passion, all of us commissioners, this is the kind of passion that we bring to our anti-corruption work, because that is what the fight of corruption or against corruption is all about. Making sure that not only are we well managed, that all of our, for example, our statutory bodies, our ministries and departments are well managed, but that the money gets to where it is intended.
You know, this is a good segue into the next question I wanted to ask. Let's deal with public office, corruption in public office. You know, you walk the streets of this country and you hear about how corrupt, and it's not just Grenada,
Yes.
Lady Joseph, it's all over the
course.
Caribbean. Okay.
Of course.
Give me some examples of corruption you have seen happening at the top. I'm not talking about the clerk who's sitting down in the Ministry of Agriculture. I'm talking about people from the level of, say, permanent secretary up.
Well, George, what I can say that they are, as you say, going through the streets of our Caribbean and really, I imagine, the world, except in some countries like Singapore, where it is said that there's very, very little corruption. And I'll share very quickly a story because, like I said, we have been trained by the government and people of Singapore.
Okay.
And one example there, their deputy president, I believe, of Singapore some years ago, was visited by the equivalent of the Integrity Commission, which is an hybrid with the FIU, I would say. And as soon as he saw the head of that organization coming towards him, he committed suicide immediately. However, in our part of the world, it doesn't quite happen that way, except to say that it is very, very easy to say that people are corrupt. It's the easiest thing to say. And that is why for us, we go towards the systems. Because, and I'm not necessarily answering you directly, because George, you know I'm a lawyer. I don't want to be on the other side of the defamation laws. But that is why we are paying so much attention to building out our systems and to working with others who have responsibilities for ensuring an anti-corruption system, not only here, but through our regional and international work. And the reason for that is, and I said earlier, we don't operate as a silo because we alone can't provide the evidence for corruption against any of these high officials. Sometimes, yes, declarations are there and we interrogate them because after the declaration is received by us, we have another system which is called a compliance system. So we will begin our compliance work, checking for red flags to see what is not adding up. And then we have received great training right here in Grenada. Faculty came in the name of Mr. Tim Steele, who came to us from Vienna, from the UNODC, and he's a world expert in compliance. So we also received training from the RSS to help us to better follow where this grand kind of corruption is and where the assets are moving. I'll give you an example outside of our region. Only, I believe it was last year in Brazil, an ex-minister, I believe, somebody in government there, a raid was had on one of their apartments, and in it, the room was filled with money, cash. Room was filled with Rolex watches and so on. Again, recently, a very high official from one of the African states visited Latin America and was also found to be carrying lots of cash and watches and so on. So, yes, we have to follow this, but with the Integrity Commission, as shared earlier, we can't work alone on this. We have to reach out both nationally, locally, to law enforcement agencies, as well as regionally, to ensure that where this kind of corruption is taking place, that we can locate it. We can also receive complaints from members of the public, from the public service, or wherever, And we will follow those complaints.
I think it was
Yes.
just this past week you were heard to say that your commission partners with NGOs,
Yes.
the RGPF, the
Yes.
Department of Public Administration, and other
Yes.
agencies in the fight against corruption in
Yes.
public office. Now, and that's great. You know, I don't think anybody would argue that your office is something that is sorely needed, an office of integrity commission. Make sure that things go right. But Lady Joseph, I don't know, perhaps it's the times in which we live. There's a sort of skepticism, a sort of doubt about, yeah, so what? Are these folks really genuine? Are they going to perform? Are they for real? Can we really expect them to do what they claim to be
People
doing?
are right to interrogate, because what we're doing, as I shared before, is very new, and that is why I'm really grateful to be here to share a lot about what we're doing. And those of us who are the first commissioners, we come from many different areas. In addition to the churches, the organizations of influence, political parties, the legal profession, the accounting profession, to name a few. And I want to share perhaps a little bit about who we are, because very often people just, in an era of being skeptical, as you said, an era of fake news, an era of propaganda, and I can assure you, we here at our Integrity Commission, we have been visited by all of these. I can say that. But people have the right to ask. We're funded by the public purse, the treasury, and therefore we hold ourselves humbly accountable to the people, not only of this nation, which funds us directly, but we are also receiving training and other support from the people of the world, the taxpayers of the world, through the many agencies
Right.
that work with us, the World Bank, the Commonwealth Secretariat, the OAS, and the UNODC. And the latter two, we work with them very much because it is their treaties that Grenada has ratified and acceded to that require us, the obligations of those treaties require us to do this kind of work.
But Lady
Yes.
Joseph, I mean, even agencies like the World Bank and the IMF, they come under fire from the man on the street
That's
here.
what that's right. And the reason I say this, every agency is accountable in today's world, in an era of skepticism, as you say. And because, as I say, where does the money to fund these agencies come from? It comes from our tax-paying money, comes from our own budgets, as we make our contributions to the running of all of these organizations, whether on the world stage level, regional or national levels. So let me just share a little bit presently, because sometimes I forget to say who we are. And I share that our deputy chairperson is Mr. Robert Robinson, and he has been a regional public servant and an expert, a subject matter expert in trade union negotiations and trade union life. We have Commissioner Bertie Hill, and he was nominated by the Alliance of Evangelical Churches, a member of the Grenada Bar Association, attorney at law Daniela Williams Mitchell, accountant coming from the accounting fraternity of Grenada, Rupert Agostini. We have as well, and I shared a little earlier about our former chairs. We've had one other commissioner present at the moment, and that would be Mrs. Agostine, and she comes to us from the Grenada Council of Churches. And before these, we've had, for example, accountants Henry Joseph. We've had others from the Council of Churches. Yeah, so we are literally representing Grenada.
Wide cross-section.
Wide cross-section, and that is what the Act requires us. Ronald Peters, another accountant, was with us, and Mr. Darius of the Council of Churches, I'm not sure I called his name. I like to say that we are really built on the shoulders of not only those who are here, but those who have gone before us, even as new as we are. So I'm just sharing, George, that the first 7 people that were asked to serve refused absolutely.
Okay. Because the internet is slow this morning,
Yes.
Some questions that have been published on the website are only just getting in here.
Of course.
And going back to something we were discussing earlier on, MSF in New York wants to know, have the government ministers declared their assets? That's one question. And the other one is from Tessa. Tessa is saying, what happens in public life? What happens if someone in public life refuses to declare his or her assets? What happens if someone in public life refuses to declare his or her assets? Yeah, same question. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. Thank you for those questions. And yes, we're happy to share that all government members, meaning members of the executive, ministers of government, they have all declared to us, as well as members of parliament. So, what happens when they refuse, or anyone refuses to declare? Like I said, we have a wide swath of persons, up to 15,000, who are invited to declare over time. We have had people who have refused to declare, and there's a process. We write them, and then we write them again, and then we would write them, and then at the end of that, if they still do not wish to declare, we then publish their names in the official gazette as being non-compliant with the laws of Grenada, as well as, I believe, in the newspapers. Yes, I believe at least 2 newspapers. And this has happened recently, and we have found not always because people do not want to declare, but sometimes they're busy, especially traveling officers who travel overseas, or sometimes they are so pressured by personal lives or jobs. That's what they have shared with us when they do come in. And I'm sharing this because once they are published in the official gazette and in the newspapers, we have now seen a definite uptake in persons complying. So we have generally had extremely good compliance, but the ones who were not complying, once advertised, they have very quickly complied. We have one single person who is no longer in the service who actually went to court, but we have so far, this is about perhaps over 2 years now, we have not received a decision with respect to that particular person. And that came from someone who once served in the judiciary.
The reason why I'm smiling,
Yes.
Lady Joseph, is because you're telling me that the court system is affecting even the Integrity Commission? 2 years?
Well, if that is the way it is put, well, who knows?
Yeah.
There are thousands of cases, of course, and
Yeah.
we always hope for swifter justice.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what. I have to take a little break here, but when I come back, I'd like us to talk a little bit about something that I heard from you this week. Somebody from your office came by here with some content for me, which we published on the Grenada Broadcast website, and that has to do with the investigation into the MNIB.
Of course.
So we'll take a little break here, and then we'll come on back with Lady Joseph.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenlex Give a Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenlex. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlex customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it, and 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenlex Give a Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Alrighty, folks, I am back with Lady Anande, Trotman-Joseph. Lady,
Yes,
this
George.
past week, you made a statement, an announcement, that the investigation into the inquiry into
Yes.
the MNIB is going to begin sometime early next year, I think.
Yes.
And that
George,
took
I did.
that took a lot of people by surprise, because there are some who were saying, "Hey, wait a minute, we thought this thing had started already. You should be telling us the outcome of that inquiry by now."
Okay. George, I think the best example that I can use about what pertains with respect to investigations is one that I'm sure we're all on the western side of the world looking at almost daily on CNN or whichever other Western news agency we follow or news reporting, and that is the Mueller investigation. So I also want to share, I think the best analogy I can use is that, of course, we only see Mueller appear and we don't even see him addressing the media until such time as he has something to say or somebody is about to be charged or taken to court as a result of his investigations. So the other, perhaps more real analogy I wish to share is that we, the Integrity Commission, we are not like KFC. This is not about chicken ready, hot and ready in about 3 to 5 minutes while you wait in line or being kept warm by a light, and then you have your goodies to take away all nice and ready to go. This here, we have to be very careful about an investigations and an inquiry process and system which we have. And I would share that this is perhaps one of our newer systems being built out. I told you we've been receiving a lot of external assistance, not only internal assistance, but external in the sense that we've had to go through a lot of training. One of our officers about 3 years ago went to Jamaica for training, where they have some of the best investigations or investigators of this kind in the region, and had to be resident there for some time. As you know, I shared we went to Singapore. 2 of our commissioners went to Singapore for training. We had world famous persons coming down from Vienna because of our request for training in this regard. We have had further assistance coming out of the very CCA, ICB, and so on. So I'm just sharing that one does not just every few minutes pop up to share news about what is happening in an investigation and an inquiry, because there's a process, there's a system. First, and we have shared very openly that we first heard of this Marketing and National Importing Board situation from the media. That hadn't come to us directly, and acting in accordance with our own laws, we took it upon ourselves to follow what we were hearing. There were other investigations that were already in progress, but because of the
There were?
national, yes, in Grenada.
Okay, because you guys came under fire because you sort of took the initiative
Yes.
and went after this.
Yes,
So you're saying that there were other bodies investigating.
being investigated by us. But because of the mandate of our legislation, if something comes to our attention, and especially because we're publicly funded and because of what we're required to do, we cannot just sit back on our seats and watch things unfold and do nothing, because we would be held accountable. And we are all not only about being against corruption or trying to combat it, but we are about the accountability, because we are recipients of monies from the public, from tax-paying monies.
I want to be guarded when I say forget about the money. You know, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes,
Yes.
Lady Joseph, because, I mean, here you are heading up a commission which is trying to assure the people of this country that their business is being properly run,
Yes.
effectively. But yet, Lady Joseph, I mean, there is, because of everything that has been happening in this country in recent years, there is so much skepticism out there. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Don't
Am
I
I
know
right?
it, George? Don't I know it? And that is why I came readily, and I just want to share that what we do by law is confidential. Everything we do, we're guided by our law. And why did we get involved in the Marketing Board investigation? Because Section 12(1)(c) empowers us to do that, to make such inquiries as the Commission considers necessary in order to verify or determine the accuracy, for example, of declarations we receive. 12(1)(d) requires us to investigate complaints. It requires us under 12(1)(e) to investigate the conduct of any persons falling under the purview of the Integrity Commission. It requires us to examine the practices and procedures of public bodies. It requires us to instruct, advise, and assist the heads of public bodies with respect to these practices and procedures to reduce the occurrence of corrupt practices. I'm just paraphrasing a little bit from Section 12(1). And of course, this is online, so if anybody wants to take the time, please, I encourage you to read to see what guides us.
Yes, lady, yes, lady.
Yes.
No argument there, but the point I'm trying to make is
Sure.
despite that, there is so much skepticism out there. Why is that skepticism at that level? I mean, people just don't trust anything that comes from the administration.
Well, George, we are not the administration, and that is sometimes to a difficult
Then
kind.
let me add the
Yes.
Integrity Commission. There, you
Yes.
just outlined what you guys are trying to do.
Yes. But we are not the administration, we're not government. And sometimes, and that is why over time, we believe, and I am confident along with my fellow commission members, I'm quite confident that people will come to understand. And that is why I just stressed that people need to read the law to understand what it is we have to do by law. I don't know how more simply I can put it. Over time, we will build trust. Nobody will trust. You don't just marry somebody you meet overnight. Some people do it, very rarely, through match weddings and so on. But we know that we are not just a match. Over time, we have to build the confidence.
All right.
We are very new. So we are doing our best to do what we can to build that trust. And only the outcomes of what will come out of our work, our recommendation, I believe, will make the difference.
The
in
proof
the end.
is in the pudding.
That's right.
Okay, hold on. Let's hear what this caller has to say. Good morning. You're on the air. Good morning.
Intervention. Good morning to your guest.
Yes, sir.
A few comments and two questions afterwards. In 2008, the government of Grenada granted 11 licenses to a company. So it has been clearly established that is a venture capital company that knows nothing about oil exploration, etc. Giving them the right, 11 licenses, giving them the right to explore and exploit our hydrocarbon reserves in this here country. 7,450 square kilometers of our national territory went into their control. Not a cent entered the national purse as a result. Not 1 cent. First they will give them a license for 4 years, then another 4, then another 2. And it goes beyond now because 4 plus 4 puts 2 is 10. 2018. They also have license to operate for another 20 years, and then another 10 is established there on the internet.
Sir, could you get to
Not
the
a
point?
cent has entered the national treasury. Question. Does the entity that you head have the authority to investigate this abnormality, this irregularity, which evidently and effectively opens the door, a wide door, floodgate should I say, to corruption and financial irregularity? Because in effect, the national patrimony has been given away to a private company in a sweetheart deal called with GPG.
All right.
I'd love to hear your comment on that. And further, will you be prepared in the future to seriously investigate this abnormality? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let me just share. I know we are discussing the marketing board, and I know your time is running.
We're almost
on you,
out of
George.
time, yeah.
But just sharing very quickly in response to this caller that we have already begun to undertake training in the area of anti-corruption and the oil industry by attending a training session, a regional training session in this area. This is, of course, a whole new world. It's not your statutory bodies, but when we get to that point, building up this expertise and where if and when it becomes necessary, of course, we will investigate this area.
All right.
So back to you, George. Perhaps I know you are the
MNIB.
guardian of your time, and
Yeah.
I am in your hands, perhaps, as we get to a little more specifics.
MNIB.
Yes.
As I mentioned, people were a little bit concerned, and you've already explained why the apparent delay.
No, George. I think because of the skepticism, I want to say it is not it's not an apparent delay. I am agreeing that and I like the use of your word apparent, but just to share that there is a process which is guided by international best practices on investigative principles, and that will progress to the actual inquiry.
There were allegations earlier on this year that there were 2 fires down at the MNIB's premises. I think it was down on River Road or somewhere down there.
Yes.
And there were allegations that there was arson involved. What do you know about that?
Well, George, we knew nothing about it until such time as we began to make inquiries and begin the preliminary investigations and data gathering with respect to what was being reported as the happenings at Marketing Board. And I just share with you, firstly, and again, we really are sometimes between a rock and a hard place at the Commission, because Section 47 requires us to ensure that our information, our records are secret and confidential and shall not be disclosed or communicated with respect to some of what we do. And the penalty for that can be 1 year's imprisonment at Her Majesty's prison. And that is why, George, sometimes there is absolute silence about what we do, and we are a secure location, and permission has to be sought to enter our premises, passing our police guard, etc. But I just want to share, rather, on the other side of it, that we have to balance what we do also with the transparency. And this is where we have to be very mature and walk the fine lines within the meaning of the laws. And I will, in response, say to this particular question, I refer you back to section 12(2)(b), which I shared earlier. And that is, we are making use of the services and the expertise of the law enforcement agencies, for example, of Grenada, in terms of this investigation. We are not alone.
Mango Coot on the shout box says, George, I think that one of the first persons of interest in the M&IB inquiry should be the accountant who sits on the M&IB board. His firm is paid to audit its books and also saw no problem nor raised any red flags, any concerns to the commission. So much so that she had to learn of the fiasco from the media. It's things like these that raise doubts about the integrity of the Integrity Commission.
George, we do not shy away from hard questions or comments. And I just want to say that perhaps the accountant that this person is alluding to does not sit on the marketing board. That's number one. So it's good for us
He
to...
did at one time, did he?
I am not sure, but no record of that at this time or in the near past. I am not certain about that. However, the responsibility, overall responsibility for auditing all statutory bodies lies with the Office of the Director of Audit. Sometimes the Director of Audit in turn sub-delegates or subcontracts persons or companies to do that for them. In this case, as it turned out, the company that was subcontracted or delegated by the Director of Audit's office was one of the commissioners of the Integrity Commission, Mr. Rupert Agostini. And as soon as this came to the attention, once we got this information and we decided, well, look, we have to investigate what is happening here, he said, I absolutely, and I believe the word, so I know he said he absolutely recuses himself, because our organization, being advised by the international agencies that we work with, we have developed a conflict of interest management system. That is also one of our systems that we had
So that's in place.
Yes, it's in place for several years now. I think since about since 2014. And we had to take not only legal advice, and part of conflict management is a process of disclosure. So we disclosed to our the international agencies that we worked with and asked for their advice on how do we treat, as a small island developing state where everybody is practically related to everybody, or married, or has a child, or is a half brother or a half sister, what do we do? And we were advised that as an international best practice, following OECD suggested rules, that we immediately implement a conflict of interest management system. So we are required to immediately disclose our conflicts to each other, and we do that each time we are appointed, and we are also obliged to recuse ourselves if there is any apparent or perceived conflict with respect to one of the matters with which we are dealing. And in this case, Commissioner Agostini immediately recused himself, and he's completely, and he would share this one now is transparent, he takes no part in any, absolutely any discussion on this.
Admirable, admirable. But you know, to wrap it up, Lady Joseph,
Yes.
just let me say this. You mentioned that best practice, you reported to, it's an international agency that you reported to?
We do have these interactions.
Okay, great.
Yes.
You know, when things like this arise here and the public starts raising concerns and asking questions, it seems to me that there's a hesitance, there's a reluctance to answer the concerns of the public in so many different things. I don't want to go into all of them. Yet, you gladly report to international agencies. For
Yes.
God's sakes, how about us? How about when we ask a question, how much is our debt?
George, I
Tell
speak
me-
for us. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm here.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
that's fine. But I'm just telling you this so
Sure.
I'm not pinning it on the Integrity Commission.
Okay,
You're doing
sure.
your part, okay? You're doing your part.
Of course. But I appreciate what you're saying.
You understand what
Please.
I'm saying,
Yes.
please. What's what sort of deal between GPG and Grenada? One person says, were there other bidders? One minister says yes. One minister says no. I mean, come on. The people of this place, they're so frustrated. And they're taking their frustration out on you. Here you are.
That happens.
Here you are trying to straighten things out. And they're
Yes.
jumping all over you.
It happens, and it's been happening. And as a Christian, George, when you you understand, I think, through the life of our Lord Jesus Christ, and we're in the season of remembering him especially, you understand that when you put yourself up to serve and to try and change culture and shift things towards something that is better, that you will, and I don't want to liken it to persecution, but we are open, as I shared very early, to a lot of propaganda and fake news and armchair generals who sit back knowing nothing, never read the law, knowing nothing about our work, never been to our website, and just wanting to criticize. But again, because we live in an era where we're skeptical and where perhaps everything is so very often not spoken about or becomes taboo or swept under the carpet. And that is why we at the Integrity Commission, we have faced our truths. For example, conflict of interest. We have had to face our truth. We have to report, I share, George, to external bodies because we are implementing through our laws these conventions. The first, a regional convention, which is the OAS Convention Against Corruption, the Inter-American Convention, and there is what is called a mechanism. Each convention has a body that has oversight. So every few years, we not only go up, but they come down, and they don't just come down, they bring our peer countries. For example, people may come from, I'm just citing Peru, Jamaica, Africa, wherever, to see what we are really doing. And then they file a report. Now, those reports are up on the websites of the OAS, and likewise, the UNODC, which is the mechanism to implement the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, they have been coming and working with us to implement. And again, those reports are on the public website.
Okay.
And so if people really search, you will find.
Lady Joseph, I'm hungry. I want to go. But
You're inviting me to lunch, I take it, George. Just kidding.
No, seriously.
Yes.
Every time I try to jump out of here, something comes up. Mango Coot says, and George, can she explain why the FIU is still headed by the spouse of a minister, a politically exposed person, in violation of national law? Isn't this a major conflict of interest? You want to take that? This is the finale, folks. Oh, hold
Right.
on.
No, I
hold
wouldn't.
Hold on.
Yes.
MSF, Mango Coot, I don't know where he is, but MSF says, honestly, I really wish these people will stop flaunting their Christianity in front of people's faces when they're talking. Being a Christian doesn't make you any more than any other religion or individual.
Let me
Let's
just
take
come
the
to the
first
last
one.
one first to say I'm not flaunting my Christianity. I'm trying my best to live my Christianity. And that is why I accepted a responsibility such as this. And I don't flaunt. I originally come from Guyana, as most of us know. That's where I was born. And it's perhaps one of the most tolerant of upbringings that one can have. And I have gone as much to a Hindu function, religious function, as I would have gone to a Muslim as to a Christian. So perhaps this is a good opportunity for me to share. I'm not the most tolerant, I would say. I'm not perfect. I'm not the best. I just try to be my best person because of my belief system. So I'm not flaunting anything. I am very, very tolerant. I'm a human rights advocate. And because of that, I do not discriminate as far and as best as I could. The FIU, I am not responsible for the appointment of the heads of the FIU. I just want to share very quickly, as we're wrapping up, that some of these pieces of legislation are actually conflicting because it says, for example, that the head of the FIU should not be a PEP, but yet the very laws declares the head of the FIU a PEP. So I know that perhaps we need to have some legislative change to look at this. Again, I've shared about conflict management, and it is very, very important, perhaps more so for persons such as the head of the FIU, who is perhaps doubly or triply politically exposed because not only of his relationships, but because of his job and the nature of his job, to ensure that there is a conflict of interest management system very much in place at that organization. And we at the Integrity Commission, we have been doing a lot of training in this area, and we are trusting that in the coming year, working with the Public Service Commission and with government generally in the wider sense, that a national conflict of interest management system will be implemented.
Lady Joseph, this time I'm going to pull the plug, but not before I get my 2 cents in. I've listened to you for
That's
a little
right,
over an hour.
George.
Lady Joseph, let me say this. You don't know how much it means to me to have you sitting in that chair this morning. I have a great admiration for you because I'm sure you knew you were going to have to face the music this morning.
Yes.
But you came out here, you sat here and faced the music, okay? I was in no way malicious towards you.
No, definitely not, George.
I have not tried to antagonize you.
No, George.
And I do wish that people in our administration would show a little respect for the media. Forget about George Grant, the media, you know. When people like myself extend invitations, it's because I want Joe Blow public out there to get both sides of the story. Lady Joseph, when I called you, you didn't blink. You didn't hesitate. You came. You answered questions. You enlightened people. Not everybody agreed with you. Not everybody doubted you. Okay? Same with me. Same with you. And I just wish that, and I know they're watching. They never miss this program. They never miss it. But I wish they learned something from you about the importance of communicating with the people who hired you, who paid your salary, to be accountable to them. Yeah, there are people who ask a lot of crap out there. You and I refer to it in different ways this morning. Yeah. But there are people out there who are genuinely concerned, have legitimate questions that they want answered. I don't know what you can do, lady, but if there's anything you can do to convince these folks to be more accountable and receptive to invitations from Grenada Broadcast, would be appreciated. Go a long way towards making a big difference in this country. So please accept my my appreciation and my admiration that you came here this morning and faced the music. I am so happy that you did.
Thank you for having me,
Take care.
George, on behalf of the Commission.
All right. Okay, folks, we have been talking with the chairman of the Grenada Integrity Commission, Anande Trotman-Joseph. And it is time for us to pull the plug, but not before I read you, as always, one parting word from the Holy Scriptures. This is where we pull the curtain down. And today, it comes from John 3, chapter 36, which says, "Whoever believes in the Son has eternal life, but whoever rejects the Son will not see life. For God's wrath remains on them." Short and sweet. Short and sweet. My dear friends, thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning. And here's an invitation. Join me tomorrow morning and tuned every weekday morning at 9 o'clock for Good Day Grenada, right here on Grenada Broadcast. George Grant sending God's blessings your way. See you tomorrow morning at 9.